welcome to the Ringer NFL show. Sheil Kapadia here with my friends Steven Ruiz and Nora Princiotti. Normally we split up the midweek show, but we thought we're all here in LA together. Why not just hang out together, Nora? How are we doing?
I'm doing great. In studio with my friends.
This is the best way to do a pod. It's the best way to do a pod.
In person, we can yell at each other, we can interrupt each other, and we got breaking news again for, what is it, the fourth week in a row?
Yeah.
Something like that. So we got, I'm getting used to the West Coast time. I didn't know until someone actually broke the news to me. I didn't see it on Twitter that DeAndre Hopkins is going from the Tennessee Titans to the Kansas City Chiefs for conditional fourth, did we decide? A fifth
Conditional
that can become
fourth.
a fourth.
Fifth that can become a fourth. Yes.
Yeah. So there you go. Nora, when you found out the news this morning, what was your instant reaction to this move by the Chiefs?
I mean, just sort of thank goodness they did something. Because it's this thing with the Chiefs where we watch the product on the field and we know that it's sort of underwhelming and it feels like they could really use someone. But there is that sense of like, well, it's Mahomes. They'll probably win the Super Bowl anyway. And you wonder if that sense has pervaded them enough where they would decline to do something like that. And there's been reports that they were, sniffing around Cooper Kupp, but it was a little too expensive. And I mean, I think this makes all the sense in the world. I think he can help them, and he can especially help them December, January.
Ruiz, you've been looking up the route charts and stuff 2 weeks ago about these are the types of throws that Patrick Mahomes is not able to make in this offense with this group. How much does this solve? You've had a lot of angst about this offense. How much does this solve some of the angst you have about this offense?
It gives me more angst about Travis Kelce, like the wide receiver they win for. I feel like their skill sets are kind of redundant at this point. Like they're going to be that mid-range guy over the middle, make tough catches. But they needed that guy. They needed a second guy, especially if Kelce isn't the guy he was last year in the playoffs. And if teams double team him, they'll have a deterrent against that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can obviously line up Hopkins on the outside. You can trust him more. You can throw to him when he's covered. He can make those contested catches, those one-on-one catches. But it's no given. He's 32 years old. He's, had some injuries. He has 15 catches for 173 yards on the season. Now, last year he had 75 catches for over 1,000 yards. There was sort of some reporting. I think Diana Rossini said that the Chiefs were looking at Cooper Kupp, but ultimately went with Hopkins because I guess the Rams weren't willing to take on that money. Nor do you think, like, if you're a Chiefs fan, are you like, I wish we kind of had Cooper Kupp instead of Hopkins, or do you feel like both of them are similar options?
I think especially given the difference in the compensation, I would be pretty happy with this if I were a Chiefs fan.
Okay.
Because you're still thinking, like, you still have to think long-term a little bit, right? And, the issue this season is that they're without Rashee Rice. But you look further into the future, if it was the difference between like a second for Cooper Kupp and a fifth that can become a fourth for Hopkins, I think that makes more sense for where they are as a team right now.
Yeah. You don't need to mortgage the future. And with Cooper Kupp, I feel like that would be a multi-year commitment to him. Otherwise, why are you trading for a player? Because he's not DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins is at that point in his career where he's almost like a mercenary. Like he's just going around team to team trying to fill
this is
a void.
a rental. Yeah.
I feel like Kupp has a little more in him and left in his career. I have a take, though.
Yeah.
Enough of the conditional.
You don't? I love it. You don't like a condition?
No, just make a trade. Like, make a trade. I don't like this, like, oh, yeah, but what if we're wrong? Like, maybe we shouldn't have to give up this pick. No, I disagree. That shouldn't be a thing. Why should that be a thing? Or let's do conditional player picks. Like, if I trade for Bryce Young, for instance, I'm the Panthers, I trade for Bryce Young, and he stinks, and then Caleb Williams come along, I should be like, let me get Caleb Williams instead, and you get Bryce Young.
I don't mind I think the condition sometimes, if you're a fan base whose team stinks, it gives you something else to root for. I mean, it's good for content. If you're out there and you cover the Titans, now you're looking at, DeAndre Hopkins, 80 yards. That fourth might be coming our way.
That sounds like you've been through that experience before with someone, with a quarterback who had a snap count.
I can't remember who that was. Wentz, right? Yeah, that was the Wentz. See, I knew that you were able to. I don't remember anything beyond what has happened this morning. But you are right.
Apparently, the Eagles don't either. They made the same exact mistake with a different quarterback.
So I'm looking at this Chiefs offense right now. They are 7th in DVOA, 12th in passing DVOA with Patrick freaking Mahomes, and he is 15th in EPA per pass play. So Nora, to your point, just felt like they had to do something. This might not solve all their problems. This isn't the biggest swing, but it felt like they had to do something. So that's it hasn't happened yet. Maybe there'll be, while we're on the pod, there'll be some weird thing that DeAndre Hopkins hates Missouri. I don't know, something like that. Maybe who knows? Who knows what could happen? Or maybe there'll be a Cooper Kupp trade while we're recording here. That would be
I mean, maybe they'll double dip.
Yeah, maybe they'll get them both. But what we're going to do for the rest of the show is we came up with a series of questions together that we're together. Let's answer them. Let's get a little temperature check from each of us to see how we're feeling about some things happening in the NFL. And the first one, and we're going to write them on these whiteboards. So if you're listening right now and you're saying, I'm listening, what do you mean you're writing them on a whiteboard? We have a YouTube channel, Ringer NFL, that you can go to. You can watch this. You can see Steven was telling us about his handwriting, and he looks like a serial killer. So I want to see that.
Wait, you left out some key words there. I said my handwriting looks like the handwriting of a serial killer. I wasn't saying I look like a serial killer.
Oh, okay.
I do not serial kill.
Listen, sometimes, I misunderstand. My comprehension is
the people listening might have an advantage over the people looking at my handwriting, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, if you want to see it anyway, you go to Ringer NFL on YouTube. We're going to write our answers on whiteboards, but we will also say them out loud for those of you listening. Is everyone ready? I'm excited.
I'm ready.
I was telling Nora, the only thing on the whiteboard at the Kapadia household is who not to bet on for the Masters, because my daughter's like, why did we take Tony Finau again this year? So for now, next year, we know don't bet on Tony Finau. I'm raising them right.
Starting them young.
There you go. All right, so the first question, because he's not traded as of this recording, is where should Cooper Kupp get traded? Where should Cooper Kupp get traded? We are writing down our answers. I didn't think about this part, that when we're writing, we can't just be totally silent for the audio listeners. I'll figure it out.
Actually, my handwriting's pretty good. So
okay, you're feeling good? You're having a strong one? All right. On 3, we point it towards the camera. 1, 2, 3. All right. We've got Steven Ruiz says the Los Angeles Chargers. Nora, I can't see. Where is it? Bucks, I guess. She's not that excited about it. And I've got the Washington Commanders. That was exhilarating. Everyone feel the heartbeat up a little bit? Yeah, most exciting part of my day.
I love props.
All right, I'm just getting word that, if you're watching on YouTube, I couldn't have written it any smaller, the Commanders, on my whiteboard. Learning experience for me. Next one is going to be giant.
I wrote mine small at first, but mid-writing, I realized that problem. I was a step ahead of you, Sheil.
I love it. All right, I'll be better. But Ruiz, go ahead. See Los Angeles Chargers.
I mean, this is just for the sake of Justin Herbert. I think at a certain point, you have to prove that you're providing something to your franchise quarterback. And I don't think there's been any point in time during his career in Los Angeles that they've done that. Whether it's the offensive coordinator hires, going from Kellen Moore, Joe Lombardi, Kellen Moore, to Greg Roman, the receiving core right now is just untenable. The receivers he was throwing to on Monday night, I know he threw for 300 still, but it could have been 400 with all those drops. And I think it's convenient that they happen to, share a city with the team.
He doesn't have to move.
He doesn't have to move. I think he would like that. The Chargers have cap space after they're eating their vegetables during this offseason, where I thought they needed to eat their vegetables. I think it just makes sense. And I think he would be a long-term solution to a problem that they clearly have.
But he's 31 years old. Long-term solution. He's been injured. He hasn't played this year. I don't know about that. Like, if I'm them, I would be on the fence. I hear what you're saying, but I would kind of be like, do we want to give anything up? We're not winning any. To me, Kupp seems more like are you going for something this year? And it could be that they're just like, hey, we're competitive. We want to make the playoffs. That would be fine. There's something to be said about that. I don't know that he solves their long-term problems.
Yeah, they are 3-3. I think they can go either way now. I don't think like that wild card race in the AFC. It's the Steelers, the Colts, and the Broncos. You could win. Like Bo Nix is holding on to a playoff spot right now. You can get into the playoffs, and this is a franchise that needs something. They need to
there's value in
show
that.
something to their fans.
I hear you. Okay, all right. Nora, you've got the Bucks, I guess. You rewrote yours in large writing.
Much bigger.
Yeah, much bigger.
Just to embarrass you.
Good job by you. I was thinking, I don't know if I should do the next one as a joke. Now I'm saying it out loud. But what if I wrote it even smaller? Like the opposite. Yeah, but anyway, all right, Nora, the Tampa Bay Bucks. Why?
Well, so here's the thing we talk about if you're competing for something, even if it's not necessarily a Super Bowl this year, and I think the Bucks are in that position. They're tied at the top of the NFC South, and obviously, given the Evans and Godwin injuries, that wide receiver room is pretty gutted right now.
Yeah.
So that's why the Bucks.
Yeah.
The why the I guess is that, to your same point, I think with the Chargers, do I want to be in the business right now of trading like a second round pick and taking on the next couple of years at like $20 million a year in salary for a 31 going on 32-year-old Cooper Kupp who's had some injury issues? Yeah. I am not sure I want to be the team that trades for Cooper Kupp. But given the situation with the injuries that they've had at receiver, I guess I think it would make the most sense for Tampa.
Yeah, it's similar to what Ruiz was saying. Sometimes you just try to make the playoffs and have a good season and reward your fan base. I know they're asking for a second. I don't think
you don't have to. I don't think it'll end up being.
I don't think they're going to get a second. No. Usually, receivers this age, again, having injury issues. Awesome player when he's healthy. Everybody loves watching Cooper Kupp, but at this stage, usually that doesn't happen where you get a second-round pick. But it makes sense. They're just got crushed by injuries last week.
And Liam Cohen used to coach with the Rams.
Ooh,
he
I like that.
The McVay offense. So seamless transition for him.
Familiarity. I've got a team that's probably in a similar boat, the Washington Commanders. They're not going to win the Super Bowl this year, but for a fan base that's been beaten down year after year with horrible ownership, they have a fun offense, and their second leading wide receiver right now is Noah Brown on this football team behind Terry McLaurin. And to Ruiz's point, I feel like he was about to make this point. Anyone can go in there and learn that offense in 24 hours. They're not doing anything.
They have like 5
especially a veteran receiver.
Yeah. So it should be a smooth transition. It gives you another veteran pass catcher. They went overboard in the offseason, like, let's add veterans for the culture. And I shouldn't say overboard. Maybe it's working. I don't know. But this is another guy where you have him around other players. It seems like it would be a good thing. So I've got the Commanders as well.
So he would just replace Luke McCaffrey as the white slot receiver. That would work.
Little, we could read the stories. They're having breakfast together at 4 a.m. Just he's showing
finishing
him the
each
ropes.
other's sentences.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, who knows? You need a little depth there. And again, Noah Brown is their second leading wide receiver. All right, so those are the 3 teams we picked out for Cooper Kupp. All right, next question. Pick a sleeper MVP. We have to define sleeper here. So we're taking the 3 favorites out of it. The favorites right now are Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. So take those guys out of it. Who do you think will win the MVP this year? I am trying to write in a very big
so much
font.
erasing to do.
This is not good. Now I feel like I'm the one who's going to look like a serial killer here. They have weird spacing in between my letters. I know from elementary school you want the index finger in between.
Is that a thing?
I think that's a thing.
I never learned that. That's why my handwriting's so bad.
I might have just made that up.
At some point, I transitioned into all caps.
Okay.
During writing out this person's name.
Yeah, I just had an issue where I was wondering if I should do that or not.
We do not know how to read or write on this
terrible.
podcast.
I'm not having any issues.
Okay.
So far,
fancy.
us two are a disaster with this. All right, 1, 2, 3. Who do you got? All right, no! Oh no! Terrible! What are we doing? We each
this is bad content. Jordan Love.
We each have the same person, which means bad things probably for this person. Ruiz, why did you go with Jordan Love?
I mean, I think he had the counting stats already, and I'm pretty sure he went in after Sunday. He was tied for the league lead in touchdown passes with Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield passed him on Monday. But I think when you add that in, when you have the counting stats, which I think will appeal to the general voter, and I think by the end of this, I don't want to spoil our next pick because we're picking who's winning the NFC North, but I guess I just did. I think he's going to have one of the better records in the NFC. I think the stats are going to be the counting stats, and I think over the second half of the season, when LaFleur figures out the right buttons to push with this offense, the efficiency numbers are going to be there, the advanced metrics to get the nerds on his side. So I think it's just – and I mean, Lamar's going to win this award. He's going to have 4,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards.
This, yes.
So that's the pick. But we had to pick outside of that big 3. And I think Jordan Love is the guy with the talent. And I think the narrative if there is voter fatigue with Lamar, I think that's the guy that would get the votes, especially if they end with like a 12-5 record.
Nora, were you deciding between Love and someone else, or was this kind of like, no, he stands out more than everyone?
He stands out more than everyone.
Okay.
And I think, they've won 3 in a row. Seems like they're starting to heat up a little bit. I'm going to have a little bit of, well, I don't want to spoil, but I have a Packersy list of answers to questions here. So I'm feeling good about them.
The other people, I mean, you guys mentioned it. Just the highs are so high with Jordan Love that I feel like the interceptions, we've seen him not throw interceptions before. And so if he cleans some of that stuff up the rest of the season, like you said, the counting numbers are going to be there. He's throwing for a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns. And I feel like they have a chance to have team success. I thought about a few others here. CJ Stroud, I thought about, even though now you would say what the nerds right now are just like, punching their laptops or
turned on him.
Yeah, throwing their phones or whatever. But they're 5-2. And so we know this award usually just goes to a quarterback whose team has a great record. And so if he starts to play better, not play better, if his numbers start to look better and they keep winning games, Nico Collins comes back, I could see him. Jaden Daniels, if you just look at it statistically.
Yeah.
But then I was like, is a rookie really going to win the MVP here? So
I know, but if we're quasi like manifesting in addition to predicting here, Jaden Daniels is like I would kind of want to think about going there, but I'm with you.
It would be a fun season if he wins Rookie of the Year, but I think it's going to be hard. I think people will look at Marcus Mariota and what he did, especially if he. I don't know if he's going to play again this season, but if he has another game like that, it will be like, oh, well, Marcus Mariota did in the same.
Listen.
And then when I say people, I mean me.
Okay. I want Jaden Daniels to take his time because so much overreaction to one Marcus Mariota game against the Carolina freaking Panthers. Give me a 3-game sample, and then let's revisit this. Maybe I'll be wrong still, but then let's revisit this conversation. It's not going to look the same.
3-game sample, you were giving Jaden Daniels the MVP after week 2.
Well, I was ahead of the curve. Now we're in week 7. You got to be ahead of the take. That's the content game here. All right, that's what I'm doing. So I almost want Mariota to play more so that you can see it's not. Cliff Kingsbury is not developing a quarterback-proof system. The quarterback has to be good. Maybe I'll be wrong. I was wrong last week, but I want a bigger sample. And then we have to give a mention to Jared Goff. I mean, they're 5-1. They have a chance to have the best record in the NFC. The nerds, I can already see Ruiz and the nerds having battles over this because Jared Goff right now, 5th in EPA per pass play, 1st in success rate, but Ruiz will be pushing back. I can look at his eyes. He's already uncomfortable.
I'm already mad.
Okay, he's already mad, but that's the other guy I had to mention. All right, those were our sleepers for MVP. Let's take a break. We will come back, and we're going to talk a little NFC North for the next question. All right, we're back on the Ringer NFL show. Next question, who is winning the NFC
gotta get the eraser.
North? That's the thing. You asked me to write in bigger letters. The erasing process is taking a lot of time here, so I had to do that. Now I'm going all caps. Like Ruiz, switch it up a little bit. Show that you can't put me in a box here with my handwriting. All right, there we go. I think that's big enough. I've got mine down here. Who is winning the NFC North right now? Lions are 5-1. Packers are 5-2. Vikings are 5-1. And the Bears are 4-2. Is everyone ready?
I'm ready.
All right, 1, 2, 3. We've got Packers for Ruiz, Packers for Nora, and I've got the Detroit Lions.
Wow.
All right. Make the case, Nora Princiotti. Why did you pick the Green Bay Packers?
I feel like there's this thing going on with the Packers where last year the only thing that we talked about with the Packers was how fucking young they are. Sorry, I don't know why I just swore there.
I was like, gee, I was erasing. And I'm
like really
that was
intense.
Like a jolt of energy.
It was like really, really intense.
If you would have just thrown your laptop at my head or something, I'm like, geez, it's just the
like
NFC
came
North.
over me. I don't know, man.
I'm gonna start adding curse words to my answers on the board. Is that fine?
I'm like usually not a big swear on the pod person, but that just really, really like took over.
Amazing. Moment of the pod. So
very
far.
passionate about snap
I
rated
think
age.
it's like the whiteboard has me on edge, so there's a little bit of an edginess that's coming out. They're only a year older. Like I feel like it's been completely forgotten that this is this super, super young and developing team. You, Sheil, love to say development is not linear. There's a little bit of an up and down thing that happens. And I just think by the end of the season, we're going to see some of that development take hold with this team. The other thing is I believe in the quarterback, particularly cold weather, late season, tough situations, and I'd rather ride with them. Yeah, no, you're right. It's a great point. It's just like year one, it's like, oh, they're young, they're going to be better. And in year two, you just totally forget. Well, it's still year two for all of these guys. So, no, it is a good point. Ruiz, why do you have them over the rest of the group? For similar reasons. I feel like this coaching tree, which Matt LaFleur is a part of, views the regular season as a way of kind of ramping up for the playoffs. And I think we've seen them ramp up over the first half of the season. It kind of happened last year. Maybe I'm just seeing that pattern and hoping it repeats itself. But I really think this is going to be the best team in the NFC over the second half. And I think we've seen signs of that. If Jordan Love just stops throwing the ball away and they stop fumbling punt returns and they stop missing
field goals, I mean, they could have been 5-1 at this point right now, or 6-1.
Which also is like, you know what young football players do is they act like bozos sometimes.
Yeah. And this is a team full of bozos. They all have that bozo.
They all have that bozo in them.
Yeah.
Makes them very entertaining. I have the Lions because I just look at the different units in the NFC North, and their offense, to me, is the most reliable unit in the NFC North. I mean, maybe this is a recency bias from what they did, but if they're doing that against the Minnesota Vikings, and I have a lot of trust in Ben Johnson and the offensive line. Now, a lot of these things apply to the Packers. I like the Packers a lot, too, for sure. Their remaining schedule strength, it's pretty similar. They actually both have very difficult schedules. Part of that is playing in the NFC North, but the Lions have the second hardest remaining schedule, according to the betting markets. Packers have the third hardest remaining schedule. Vikings have the 10th hardest. And the Bears, this is going under the radar, they have the hardest remaining schedule in the entire NFL, and they've had one of the easiest schedules so far. So they're 4-2. It's going to be interesting to see if they're able to continue the way they're playing.
Honestly, I think the difference between these two teams, Detroit and Green Bay, is I have more confidence in Green Bay's defense now, and that's not something I thought I would say coming into Hafley. I'm a believer at this point, and it's not like he's doing anything that, anything groundbreaking. It's just like he's replacement level, and they haven't had that for so long. So I think that's a big factor. I trust their defense more, and if you look at the components of the offense, I trust the Packers' offensive line more.
Really?
Oh no, not the offensive, the receiving core. It's deeper. There are more pieces. We're not banking on Jameson Williams being a guy. If Jameson Williams isn't a guy in the playoffs, that's not a very good receiving core. Yeah. I do think that the quarterback is better also. I think the quarterback is better when the environment isn't ideal, which is a key point, especially in the playoffs when you're playing the best defenses in the conference.
Yeah, I think overall I would take Love over Goff. How they're playing, you're right. How they're playing right now in the environment, I don't think that Goff is just going through these games. I made the joke. It's like third quarter, Goff 17 for 17. It's like, wait, didn't this just happen last week? So last week I do think was a good example, and we talked about it on the Sunday night show where it was a little rocky, things weren't perfect. And now he did have a fumble that wasn't recovered. He had that other one where his arm's getting hit, and I don't know how he stepped up and didn't lose it. But I don't know, with their run game.
Yeah, the offensive line is
offensive line and run game. That can work every single week for them, it seems like.
But the Packers' run game has been good.
It's true. They're both very
They don't
good,
have the offensive line, but I don't think the gap is huge.
Yeah.
I think Detroit has the best offensive line in the league. I think the Packers have a good offensive line and a good run game.
I agree with that.
How it functions in the offense, it's the gap is narrow.
Yeah.
I don't see any obvious cold weather games or snow games for Goff late in the season on the schedule.
Got 2 all season, right, or whatever it was. So their schedule shapes it. Now Vikings fans are going to be upset. They're 5-1. Nora, what is our? You got to watch on YouTube. All right, you still got the F-bomb on audio. But the look she just gave to Vikings fans, that
was a silent F word.
Yeah, that was a silent F word. What is our collective response to none of us picking the Vikings despite the fact that they're 5-1?
Because we've watched this team, which is a really, really admirable team that's, I think, overperforming because they have really, really good coaching and a lot of things are coming together for them. But I think there's one very complete, at least especially on offense, team in this division, which is the Lions. And then there is a team that has, I think, a little bit more at the quarterback position, particularly if things sort of all gelled together, some of the mistakes go away. And I just think both of those teams have a higher ceiling than the Vikings, really on both sides of the ball, because I think they do defensively win with scheme more than they win with talent.
Right. I think there's an expiration date when you win with scheme. At a certain point, you have to have the guys.
Kind of saw that last year, right? A little bit towards the end of the season for the Vikings.
Yeah, they had the best defense over the first 7 weeks of the season. How often does that happen where the best defense in the first half is the best defense in the second half? It's not one of those things that usually correlates.
It's just the Vikings are the Vikings are the most overachieving.
No doubt.
Coach
of the year.
Yeah. Coach of the year.
Coaching staff of the year.
Yes.
If you're a Vikings fan, I think you should be thrilled with what's happening right now. But I just, again, when we talk about playoffs, when we talk about winning the division, we're talking about a team ceiling, and both of these teams, I think, have a higher ceiling than Minnesota.
Yeah, they were competitive last week in that football game, and that came down to the last 4 minutes of the game. So it's not like there was maybe a monster gap, but I think our collective trust factor for the other teams over the Vikings, I think it's fair.
We haven't said his name yet. Sam Darnold. We could have just said Sam Darnold and moved on.
There you go.
That's
right.
why.
You could have just written that on the whiteboard.
Speaking of having a little bit of bozo in him.
All right.
With love.
He is the bozo. No, I'm sorry.
All right. Next question. You get to redo your Super Bowl pick. Do you guys? What were your Ruiz? You had the Ravens
over the Packers.
Okay. What did you have, Nora?
I had the Chiefs over the Packers.
Okay. I had the Bengals over the Packers. Still alive. Still alive. Settle down, everybody. They're still alive. All right. So we get to redo our Super Bowl picks right now. This one I'm kind of deciding on the fly. I'm just gonna go with what I actually think here. This is not a team content play for me. I'm going with what I actually think is going to happen. I'm kind of disappointed in myself, but what are you going to do? All right, now I'm paranoid about my font size, but that's okay. Hopefully you can read this.
My handwriting.
You did this to yourself.
My handwriting's starting to fall off.
I know.
I'm getting exposed over a larger sample size.
This is like you're 3 beers deep now, writing down your Super Bowl pick here. So. Here we go. Nora's doing some fancy.
She's got like 5 teams involved.
Okay, sorry. I'm trying to
writing down all
write
the rosters?
legible letters.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Hold them up.
No changes.
All right. Ruiz is sticking Ravens over Packers. Nora's going Ravens over Packers. I'm going Chiefs over Packers.
Wow.
You've liked what you've seen
stealing
from the
my
Chiefs?
take.
I actually, yeah. So, all right. So I'll start. So we talked so much about the limitations or how the Chiefs offense hasn't looked the same. To me, they are still the most complete team in the NFL. Their defense is awesome. They're playing great. They can win games for them even when the offense isn't working. Their special teams are awesome. They can win that way. And to Ruiz's point about the Vikings defense, I think the Chiefs offense, there's a pretty good chance that it figures some stuff out. I mean, they've had bad turnovers. Their success rate is still good. It doesn't look how I would prefer them to look. I want them to get back to highlight Patrick Mahomes' great physical traits. But it's not like it's a disaster. Like, they're still going to win games. They're still going to be a pain to defend every week. And so I feel like they're 6-0 right now. Every other team in the AFC has 2 losses. They're going to get home field advantage unless they get a big injury. Is Patrick Mahomes going to lose at home in the playoffs? So that's why I don't like picking the Chiefs for stuff, honestly, because it's not fun. But I'm like, here, who do I feel best about? And I went with
It's
the
fine.
Chiefs.
We're the idiots, not you. You're the smart one.
No, I already feel bad about this.
This
like, I hate it.
The Ravens are going to score 14 points at Arrowhead and get demolished. No, but the reason.
So why will this year be different for the Ravens? I mean, that's the question, because they've had great regular seasons before.
Because I think the Ravens were the better team last year. They just kind of got unlucky in the AFC title game. I do think a change of venue will be a tougher challenge for them. Going to Arrowhead is always a tough challenge in January. But the way Lamar Jackson is playing right now, he's better than Patrick Mahomes right now. I don't think it's controversial to say that. He is in full control of the offense, and I think the offense is going to continue to get better. We're in, year 7 of Mahomes and Reed? We're in year 2 of Monken and Lamar. And Lamar seems to be getting the keys. He seems to be taking more ownership by the week of the offense. I don't know what this is going to look like in December. It could go the other way. It could be bad. We've seen that before. We've seen Lamar Jackson get hurt late in the season. But right now, I think that offense has such a high ceiling, and it already has a high floor. And then on the defensive side, we haven't seen this defense play well yet. Like, put together a full game where they play well, secondary, front 7. And we saw that in the first year of Mike McDonald being the DC of that team. They have a first-year DC in Zach Orr. I think it will get better over the second half. And I think by December, it will be a consensus. This is the best team in the NFL. Now, January is always a different story with this team, and there'll be questions to answer. But I do think going in, they're going to be the most complete team, and I think they're going to have a record comparable to what the Chiefs have.
We've seen the Ravens go through disappointing playoffs before. Certainly, we've seen them match up with Kansas City. But what they haven't had in those years is Derrick Henry. And
that's another good point, yeah.
I do think that the experience of having to tackle that guy, it's something that's been talked to death, but late in the season, cold weather, it's just the type of thing that feels like it could make a difference in one of those games.
Yeah, their offense has never looked better than this. I mean, and Lamar's never, I agree with you. I don't think that's controversial. If you look at the first 7 weeks of the season, Lamar Jackson has played better than any other quarterback in the NFL. Like, I mean, again, I don't think that's a hot take. I don't think that's like, oh my God, they're down. No, Mahomes, if I had to pick one for the rest of their careers or a game in January, I'm picking Mahomes. But if we're looking at who has played better so far this season, I'm going with Lamar Jackson. And also their defense There is some. I saw Aaron Schatz tweeting about this. They're like DVOA is better, not to get too nerdy, but then they're counting stats because they've played a really hard schedule of opposing offenses. So it could be a combination of the two. You get some easier opponents there the rest of the way. You start feeling more settled with the new defensive coordinator. Maybe some health stuff goes your way. That I could see a scenario where this defense starts to play. But I don't trust them right now, to your point. I don't trust their defense as much as I do the Chiefs' defense. That's why I like the Chiefs
They have
better.
so many different ways to play on offense now. And that was the goal in hiring Monken. Harbaugh said that at his press conference when he first got introduced. We need different ways to play football. Because when they had Greg Roman, it was just we're going to run the football. We're going to load up the box with blockers. And if that doesn't work, then oh shit. Yeah. We don't have anything else to do. And last year it was better, but I don't think they didn't have Derrick Henry. I think that's the best point, is they have a guy where they can go under center and run the ball, and it's the best run game in the NFL. Yeah. That wasn't the case last year. Lamar had to be involved for the run game to be effective. Yeah. That's no longer the case. Lamar had to be involved for the run game to produce explosive plays. Definitely not.
Yeah. Also, can't you just picture him breaking a 60-yard run that sets up a touchdown, and it's at Arrowhead, and everyone's screaming, and it's cold. And I feel in my bones that's gonna happen.
Austin Gale on Monday asked us how much money would it cost for us to tackle Derrick Henry one-on-one? Yeah, and he said he would do it for $100. I don't know if I would do it for $100.
Unhinged.
But there are NFL players, when you're watching them play, that are turning down the opportunity to tackle them. They're getting paid millions of dollars to do it. It's a guy that. It hurts to tackle him.
Austin also asked me the other day how much money it would take for me to jump through a table in Buffalo. I think there is an epidemic of our colleagues lowering their self-worth to just physically harm themselves or put themselves in harm's way. We need to work on this. We're all here in Los Angeles together. We need a new all hands meeting.
I think you're looking at this the wrong way. Actually, we should try to get Austin to do something for not a lot of. We could pull our $33 each.
Right.
You can get someone else to chip in another $1. We can get Austin.
No, but I don't
tackle
want anyone
Derrick
to get
Henry.
hurt.
Now I'm thinking about my own involvement because I was roped into both these conversations. And your reaction is the right one. I started asking follow-up questions. I go, well, am I going head-on with Henry? Is this Oklahoma drill, or can I come from the side? If I'm, trying to fake a tackle from the side, who's judging whether I'm giving full effort? And you said Mike Tomlin, where I go, then I'm out because he's going to know I'm making a business decision right away.
No, it's
and
Mike
for the
Tomlin.
table, I was like, what am I jumping off of? How high up is it? So I feel involved. I just want to say, So
okay,
bad job by me.
Choose between the two, table or Derrick Henry.
Table or... What's the height? Is it like the tailgate videos we've seen?
Yeah.
And do they land on their feet? How do they do it? And it breaks the table?
You're really overthinking this. Yeah. It's very simple.
All right, it's the table, right?
Yeah, it's the table.
I think it is the table.
I don't like heights, though. I don't want to be too high. I could fake a Derrick Henry tackle, maybe. I can't convince Mike Tomlin. I could convince someone else. All right.
I don't think you could fake a Derrick Henry
tackle. I don't know what that...
Yeah.
You can walk. You can. What was the thing? You can luck into a home run.
I jump at his feet. It doesn't say I have to tackle Derrick Henry. I have to try to tackle. Who's judging?
No one is expecting you to tackle him.
No one's expecting me to tackle Derrick Henry. I is picturing me holding on to his leg and he's dragging me
carried
to the end zone like a 4-year-old. Yeah, that could make for some good content. Maybe we try to make that happen.
And you get $100 in your pocket.
And I get $100. All right, next. Wait, do we have to? Now we all did pick the Packers. I was deciding between the Packers and Lions before the season, and I was deciding between the Packers and the Lions for this exercise. Was there another team you guys were deciding between?
No, I think the Lions are the threat. And it comes back to I don't trust the quarterback. If there's pressure on the pocket and he has to move, I still don't trust him.
What would it take? He's got to do it in like a playoff run type deal.
I can't think of something that wouldn't get him suspended for 4 games.
Okay, there you go. All right, next question here. Predict the Jets' final record. They are 2-5 right now. The only teams in the AFC with a worse record than the New York Jets are the Titans, the Browns, and the Patriots. They have a plus 250 odds to make the playoffs. That gives them a 29% chance to make the playoffs. So predict the Jets' final record. Jets players, don't read this. Your quarterback said you can't pay attention to the noise, to the media. Now, you guys started writing before me and are still writing. This is number. What's going on here?
Nuanced analysis.
Okay, nuanced analysis. All right. Is Nora ready? She's still ready.
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3. All right. We've got Ruiz says 6-11 with an asterisk that says 5-11-1 with Randall Cobb. So
if they bring in one more Rodgers friend, I was trying to think of it. It could be. It doesn't have to be Randall Cobb. It could be Bakhtiari. It could be any of the guys.
Okay. Nora says 6-11.
I tried to draw you being like dragged by Derrick Henry.
Okay, very good. That's a framer. Good. All right, I want a photo with that after the show.
It doesn't have anything to do with the Jets.
It's fantastic. All right, so none of us think that the Jets are going to turn this thing around.
I think each acquisition of one of his friends adds a half a win. That's why I went with 5-11-1. I think there's still another move they're going to make.
Or subtracts half a win.
Adds a loss.
Adds a loss.
Oh, yeah. I went the other way.
Well,
I can't do math. I can't read, write, or
you added
subtract.
A tie.
What did you
went to a
do?
different. I should have went to a different college.
Okay,
that's what I'm getting out of this. No, 6-11 is what they're going to be. Okay. That's the type of team they are. I had high hopes for this team, but it was based on the idea that this receiving core would be complete and be whole and be good. And Mike Williams hasn't been what he was in Los Angeles. I think Garrett Wilson has kind of been a disappointment to me. There's been some drops. There's been some questionable routes. And then Aaron Rodgers, I just don't think he doesn't have it in him to do this week to week. Like there are like throws every 10 throws where it's like, oh, that looks like 2021 Aaron Rodgers. That looks like MVP Aaron Rodgers. But then the next play is like, that looks like I just came off a darkness retreat Aaron Rodgers. And we're seeing way more of that. And as the season goes on, we're seeing more of that than we are of the old flashes.
And the other thing about this team is their defense has been a massive disappointment. I mean, you can look at it statistically. They're 21st in both offensive and defensive DVOA. It's like the offense you were hoping would be kind of mediocre. They haven't been quite that, but it hasn't been a complete. The defense I thought was going to be a top 5 unit, and they've been the more underachieving unit, Nora, of the Jets so far this season. So yeah, it's hard to get to that formula that we thought might work. It's hard to get there when they're playing this way.
I also just think that this is a team where you worry about the darkness settling in. Like Rodgers is now he's on the injury report with knee, ankle, now hamstring just got added to that.
By the way, whatever he's doing, it's working. It's killing it. His alternative medicine, it's really working, man. Keep on that track.
Well, I mean, it's on some level like he's getting hit a lot.
That's a good point.
And he's taking a beating, and it's starting to show up on the injury report. He's like talked about it in the pressers where he's like, my body really hurts. The vibes are tough.
Yeah, I feel him. We had an early recording today. I didn't get to do my stretching in the hotel room.
My knees are tight.
My neck looking like I'm nervous. You know, you might not be seeing the same version of me this afternoon.
If you have a bad pod, you could blame it on the knees. You could blame it on chemistry with the team.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers would want to tackle Derrick Henry right now.
Yeah, that's true. I would stretch first before I did it, so I'd be fine. All right, next one we're predicting here. Predict the Chiefs' final record. So as we mentioned before, they are 6-0. Every other team in the AFC has at least 2 losses. What is this final record going to look like for the Kansas City Chiefs? I believe their over-under at the beginning of the season was 11.5, I want to say, and they go over that number pretty much every season with Andy Reid. I think only once in Andy Reid's Chiefs career have they not gone over it. It looks like they're going to go over it again, but how many wins are they going to pile up? 1, 2, 3. Whiteboards are up. Ruiz has 15-2. Nora has 13-4. I have 14-3. Ruiz, you were bullish. You had this preseason.
I did.
You had them winning
15 games.
Now, I think you thought it was going to look different. You thought the offense had a chance to be more explosive, but still, you were very bullish on them, and now you think they're going to be only lose 2 games the rest of the way.
Yeah, you look at their schedule, they're not playing any top offenses for the rest of the year.
4th easiest schedule in the NFL, according to the betting markets, which is wild.
Except for the Bills, and that's the game that I think they're going to actually lose. I think the Week 18 game is going to be we're sitting all our starters, and we lose to Bo Nix. If that happens, then who cares? It's not going to affect our seeding. The defense is just so good and so reliable week to week that even if the offense continues like this, I think they can stumble to 15 wins, which is crazy to say. But when you have a quarterback who does just enough every week, then as long as you have a top defense and you have an easy schedule, I don't see a game on their schedule that they're going to lose. Like the Bucks, not now. The Broncos, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Chargers, the Browns. The Texans are a tough one, but that offense is so bad, and I think this Spagnuolo defense matches up so well with the Shanahan offense that's just going to be a terrible matchup for the Texans.
And you're giving them, like, there's two potential losses. Like, even if you have that random weird loss to the Raiders,
right,
you lose to the Texans and the Bills, you're still 14-3. But Nora, you have them 13-4.
They don't look good.
Yeah,
they don't.
They just don't look good. And okay, so if Week 18 is sort of a freebie, I do think right now Bills look like a better football team. So if they lose that game,
I would agree with that.
And then, random loss, and then maybe it's the Texans or something like that. When I watch this team, that feels like the product that they're putting out there. And I'm taking this as an exercise, since, of course, we're all friends here and we're not broadcasting any of this, to just say that this is what my eyes feel like they're seeing.
Yeah. I think that Week 17 game at Pittsburgh could be that random loss. Mike Tomlin.
At home dog. Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be the quarterback, but I don't think it matters. I don't think it makes a difference. But, yeah, they do have a dumb loss in them coming up because they have, escaped those losses so far. Like, that Falcons game should have been a dumb loss, and it didn't turn into a dumb loss. The Ravens game in the opener, that could have been a loss easily, and it didn't turn into a loss. Yeah. So they do have some one-score game regression coming for them.
Their first four games, they won by a combined 20 points. I think I remember looking it up at the time that for a 4-0 team, I think it was the lowest point differential of whatever the last 10 years. Now, the last two games, they have blown out the Saints, and that was a good win against the 49ers for everything where, you go to San Francisco and you win by 10 points. Why doesn't Spags have a coaching tree? Like, why is this not the defense that everyone's trying to be let's go grab some of their assistants? It's weird because as you were describing it, I'm just like, whether they're playing a great quarterback, a mediocre quarterback, or a bad quarterback, the defense almost always shows up. It's not going to happen every time. Obviously, there are some exceptions. But, man, they've had different personnel. It's not the most talented defense in the NFL. They develop young corners, which is really hard to do without spending. McDuffie, they spent a high pick on, but the other guys were late-round picks. Up front, Chris Jones, Karlaftis. But again, it's not like if you were just picking a defensive line, you would say this is the best in the NFL. And yet here they are. Where would they be the last 2 years without that defense playing like this? So I don't know.
They have a unique way of developing secondary too. They really have those guys move around and try different positions and play in different spots because you have to in this defense. That's why it works, is because you never know where a guy's going to be. Like, you could be a safety playing in a linebacker spot. You could be a defensive end dropping to the deep half. Yeah. So, I think the way they teach things is so unique, and it's not just the results. It's like you said, development of players.
Yeah, no, he's done an amazing job here. All right, we'll take one more break. We've got two more questions to get to that are going to peek ahead a little bit to maybe my favorite time of the year, the offseason. We'll get to that when we come back. We are back on the Ringer NFL show. Bill Belichick spent his week just crushing Gerard Mayo and the Patriots. He can't help himself anymore. But the question becomes, will he be doing that next year, or will he be coaching in the NFL? So the question is, where will Bill Belichick be coaching next year? Now, that we didn't discuss this, but I guess you could say nowhere. If you don't think he's going to be coaching anywhere and you don't want to pick a team, you're allowed to do that. Otherwise, pick a team. Where is Bill Belichick coaching next year? Or is he, where was he? Martha's Vineyard with the Taylor Swift hoodie on.
Nantucket,
sorry. I mean, that's a classic, Philadelphia person just getting all those places mixed up. They all blend together.
Can't be doing that in Massachusetts, Sheil.
I'm sorry.
You're going to get some Dunkin' to the face.
My bad. Bad job by me there. All right, I've got mine down. I know Ruiz had an answer for this a few weeks ago. Yeah. I'm wondering if he's going to stick with it. 1, 2, 3.
I'm sticking with it.
All right, Ruiz has Jaguars. Nora has Newton High Lax. So not getting back in the NFL. I've got the New York Football Giants. All right, Ruiz, you've given your reasoning before, but remind the people, why do you think Bill Belichick in Jacksonville?
I think the owner, Shad Khan, has kind of been escalating. He started off with the not no name, but Gus Bradley was a defensive coordinator. I don't think everyone was clamoring for Gus Bradley. And then he goes with Doug Marrone, who was an interim coach who I guess did well enough to win the job. Then he goes with the splash hire with Urban Meyer. and that doesn't work out. And I think he went with another splash hire by hiring a Super Bowl winning coach in Doug Peterson. But now I think he's going to go for a coach who can sustain success and at the NFL level. And the only answer is Bill Belichick. I don't think, like, if you go with Ben Johnson, we haven't seen Ben Johnson coach without that offensive line. I think there are question marks about him. I think there are question marks about, I can't even think of any other possible candidates that I would put over Belichick in terms of like trust in building a team and building a culture, because that's what they need. This locker room, the collection of talent isn't producing like it should. This team is better than it should be, or worse than it should be. And I think Shad Khan has very high hopes for this team. He said it was the best collection that of players that this franchise has ever had. And I do think Khan is a guy that likes to make a splash. And I think that's the biggest splash you can possibly make. And I would trust him with Trevor Lawrence. I know what he did with Mac Jones was bad, but I think Mac Jones was just a bad player. He was destined to fail no matter what. If you get a guy who helped develop Tom Brady in the way that Bill Belichick did, I think that's what Trevor Lawrence needs.
Well, it would be McDaniels. It would be, Patricia would be doing something there. We know that.
I think he's learned his lesson. There's no way if he gets another job. There's no.
He's with him right now doing content.
That's different than running a football team.
No. You have Matt Patricia on your coaching staff.
Yes,
okay, Matt Patricia on my coaching staff is not Matt Patricia running as OC.
I think McDaniels would be the. What's McDaniels doing this year? Is
he doing like the John Gruden thing somewhere? Like
I don't know.
No, but Josh McDaniels, he's a bad head coach. That's been established. But he's a good offensive coordinator. Maybe a great offensive coordinator.
Without Tom Brady.
He got Mac Jones to the playoffs.
That was his 1 year of like 7 years without Tom Brady where he produced an above average offense. I mean, the Rams, the Broncos, you look at all their numbers. I will push back on all the McDaniel stuff until I see him do it for a little bit longer. But maybe you're right.
Doesn't seem like he's doing anything.
Okay, well maybe he's not interested in doing anything. Yeah, I was thinking about when you were going through the Jaguars hires. I feel like Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie is responsible for a lot of this because when they hired Gus Bradley, the Eagles almost hired him instead of Chip Kelly the previous year. And it was reported that Shad Khan talked to Jeffrey Lurie, and Lurie's like, no, this guy was very impressive. And then Doug Peterson, I don't think that was a splash hire. That felt like we don't have anybody else. Remember, it was weird. They interviewed him. They're looking at other guys. Then all of a sudden they bring him back. Yeah, the Leftwich thing. You're right. So
not a splash hire, but like a guy with name recognition who had won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But they didn't go for a guy who had won multiple Super Bowls and had proven that he can do it over time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Belichick would be.
It feels because they're especially you're guessing that they're getting rid of Balky and it's just all right. You need a team that's
you never know with Balky.
You never know. That's true.
He's going to outlive us all.
I know. When you said the thing about Shad Khan, that was the most talented. Well, gee, I wonder who's whispering that into his ear. It's not my fault. The players are awesome there. So all right, you've got Jacksonville. Nora, you think he's enjoying his life?
No, I think he wants to coach, and I think he could. I think someone should hire Bill Belichick. To be clear,
yes.
I think that there is a huge chasm between the way that we feel about this and fans and media talk about this and how NFL owners feel about Bill Belichick. I think they don't want to deal with it. And now it only takes one, but I think by and large that group of people thinks that he is more trouble than he's worth, and it's hard for me to figure out what has necessarily changed in the last, or will have changed in the last year by the time we get to the coaching cycle again. Now, the one thing that I think could help his case is that we have very few hot young coordinators who
it's not a big group this year.
Yeah. And so then maybe someone ends up sort of feeling like it's worth it by default. But I think NFL owners by and large are really skeptical about Bill Belichick in a way that people don't sort of broadly recognize.
You think he will settle for a high school lacrosse job, though? By the way, I just looked it up. Rutgers is 1-4 in conference in lacrosse. I don't know who the coach is. I'm not trying to fire the coach.
This guy,
but
geez, now you're firing lacrosse.
He has a weird affinity for Rutgers, so he could be there. Chiano's there. His boy's there.
I mean, he seems like he's enjoying what he's doing now. He goes to NFL Films. He watches some film. He does some content.
He talks shit about Gerard Mayo.
Yeah. I mean, he's not doesn't seem to be living a bad life.
He says that the Lions are successful because of what Matt Patricia built there.
Did he say that?
He said that he was talking about the offensive line. He was like, I think you got to give a lot of credit to Matt Patricia.
Oh my God! Now my blood's boiling over here.
I mean, he was so bad that they were able to draft Sewell. So in a way,
yeah. Your point is a good one though. What has changed with the NFL teams in a year their view of Bill Belichick? Is it just that, I don't know. They didn't want to do it. Last year, there were a lot of openings. He wanted a job. He thought he was getting a job, and no one decided that this is the best guy.
And really only one team came
really
close.
Looked at it, yeah.
And honestly, if like the media move was a way of him kind of like keeping his name out there to get hired the next year, John Gruden is eating him up. He's killing this. He's doing a way better job. I think John Gruden has a better chance of getting hired off of his media. Honestly, if you watch...
I'm not sure I agree with this.
Well, yeah, because of some other situations. But... if you watch his analysis, like he does like hour-long breakdowns on games, and it's like clear that this guy like really is in tune with this stuff. And Belichick, I mean, he knows so much stuff, but like his takes are like hot takes.
Yeah, or a little like pedestrian.
Yeah, it's like anybody could have thought of that.
Yeah.
Bill.
I haven't watched a
I mean, the Patricia take, though, I would not have thought of that take. I don't think anybody would have thought of that take.
That's team content.
Yeah, that's team content right there.
I have not watched a piece of Gruden. All I know is there's something with Nicey going on. I have not clicked on a video. Do I need to watch?
He's feeling nicey.
He's feeling nicey is his thing?
But
you like his you actually find value in his breakdowns, no?
I'm bringing up Austin Gale again. He's like, yeah, you should watch this. Cause
all right.
The clips.
Jump through a table and get tackled by Derrick Henry and watch John.
Austin Gale, this is your intervention.
No, but he does do like hour-long breakdowns outside of the nicey segment. And okay, so I watched the Ravens Bucks breakdown. It was like an hour long, and he drew up this play for the Ravens, and I swear to God, they ran it on the first play of the game.
Okay.
So he's like doing the Romo thing almost, like predicting the plays they're gonna do. That's good coaching. Like I would want that in my. I wouldn't want John Gruden though.
I don't support John Gruden, but even with the Raiders with Derek, he was a good offensive coach.
John Gruden good at offensive football. I think we can say that.
Everything else.
He's good at being offensive in general.
Yes, yeah, I would agree with that. All right. I had the Giants. It came down to the Jaguars and the Giants for me. They're in a bad spot, right? This could go sideways for them. Is there a nostalgia play? I was thinking if you're Belichick, all right, quarterback's an issue, but you have left tackle, you have edge, you have defensive tackle, you have wide receiver. That's every other premium position you have a good player at. Like the cupboard's not, I'm not saying they've done a good job, but those are like pieces to work with. NFC East, there are some wins to be had there. So I don't know. I think if they blow it up.
I think it's a good pick because I think Belichick thinks differently. Like a lot of us are like, oh, Trevor Lawrence. Every coach wants to coach him.
Yeah.
He probably looks at Dexter Lawrence the same way. It's like, I'd rather coach this guy.
Yeah.
And if you're the Giants and maybe you're I don't know if it's going to be a bidding war where you're competing with other teams. Maybe it's Jacksonville is the other team, but you bring in Lawrence Taylor, Bill's signing on the spot.
It's done, yeah.
Like there was an NFL Films thing, I think it was like 2010, where he went back to New York and he was kind of like walking around the facility. He was crying.
Yeah.
He got emotional.
Yeah.
This is Bill Belichick.
Right.
Like that's the emotional attachment he has to this team. So I could see it happening.
Yeah, checks a lot of boxes. Emotional attachment. His career comes full circle. The wins rate. You should be able to win there. We know the owner's going to be hands off because otherwise he would have told Joe Schoen you're signing Saquon Barkley when he clearly wanted that. Nora, you look like you've got something to say.
I got a father-in-law to be who I would just love to see the reaction the day the New York Football Giants signed Bill Belichick as their head coach.
Would it be good or bad?
It's just a lot of complicated feelings. Okay. I mean, the Giants, like the thing that they have had is the success over the Patriots and their cheaters and all that stuff. It would be an interesting day.
Be good. Sounds like it'd be good for Ringer NFL content too. Bring him on. We can pull up another chair here for next year's core week. So there you go. I've got the Giants. All right. Last one. Who will be picking first in the 2025 draft? Right now, there are 3 one-win teams: the Patriots, the Panthers, and the Browns. Those are also the 3 worst teams by DVOA. And then there are a bunch of 2-win teams: the Jets, the Saints, the Jaguars, the Raiders, and the Giants. They all have 2 wins. You know what? I'm pulling a last-second change here with mine. I
no conviction.
I had a team written down. That's right. I do. My mom calls it double mind. You just, you think one thing, you change your mind. She gave it to me. She gave me a lot of good qualities, but double mind runs in the Kapadia family.
I've got some triple mind sometimes.
Yeah, we have that too. All right.
should have written bigger. I wrote this one kind of small.
Okay, that's okay. It's the last one.
It's not that small.
All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Ruiz and Nora have the Panthers. Ruiz says, keep pounding. three-peat. That would be 3 in a row, wouldn't it? Has that ever happened before?
No, they didn't earn the first one, though. We have to say that.
That's right. They traded for it. Okay, but it's still 2 in a row. Doesn't happen often.
The Jaguars did it a couple years ago, but that's not
right,
where
fine.
you don't want to.
All right, I'm wrong. What do you want from me?
Do you not know Panthers lore? Have you not been paying attention to the Panthers?
Struggling cat teams.
Yeah.
So the Panthers right now have a minus 133 point differential, which is 57 points worse than any other team. So I think they are probably the obvious choice, Nora.
Yeah, I think so. The part of me wanted to pick the Patriots because I do think that they really, like, as a team, they have that bozo in them.
Yeah.
But I think Drake May gives enough hope that
there's no Drake May in Carolina.
Yeah, they'll pull a couple of these out there. Okay. But I do think, sorry, Steven, but
yeah, it's fine.
That's good.
I mean,
they have their pick this year.
It's not good anymore. I don't care.
He's
I'm
dead
supposed
inside.
to get excited about another first-round pick. At a certain point, it doesn't matter. That's like the people that care about draft capital too much. Like, I want to just see them win 9 games.
Yeah.
Give me 9. I don't need a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Just 9 games, not 3 games.
A reason to watch in mid-December.
Yeah. They could have had Drake May in Carolina. Yeah. But they traded for
but they
a
don't.
5'9".
This would be another year, too, where that number 1 pick, there's not that no-brainer quarterback prospect.
No, the Panthers, they would end up with like Shedeur Sanders somehow, and it would just somehow get worse.
Okay.
I mean, he's better than Bryce, but
I was looking at it, and I was looking at which team really sucks right now. And I thought the New Orleans Saints fits that category. They've got 2 wins. I don't know. Maybe there's enough there, but their coach is bad. Their defense looks horrible, and who knows that they've got injuries at wide receiver, the quarterback situation, so they've got a much easier schedule. So I think they'll probably luck into at least a couple more wins here this season. But I thought I knew you two were going to pick the Panthers,
and I think there's a chance that team quits.
Yeah.
It sort
of
of feels
saw
like,
it on Thursday. I know they were dealing with injuries, but the injuries could get worse.
Yeah.
But I could see that happening. I think Rattler is honestly a better quarterback option than anything the Panthers have at the moment. So
maybe
I'm not sure.
All right, we shall see who it's going to be. That was fun. How do we feel about the Ruiz? Good job by you. This was your idea, the whiteboards. Fantastic.
Yeah. And my handwriting wasn't too bad.
Yeah. Thanks to
the FBI won't be on to me.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. Wait till people watch this. Thank you to Arjuna Ramgopal going to get before a 9 a.m. recording, going to get the whiteboards.
Staples run for the team.
Staples run in downtown LA.
Sorry, no free advertising.
Yeah, grab a few whiteboards. Thank you to our producer, Troy Farkas and Corey McConnell, getting a set up. Showed me a helmet over there that looks like it's got a P on it. Dylan Panthers. I'm going to have to get a photo with myself in that before we're out of here. But this was fun. Appreciate Nora Princiotti and Steven Ruiz. We will be back later this week with the preview show. Thank you for everyone watching and listening. We'll talk to you next time on the Ring Around.